Hey everybody, this is GGB. Today we're going to be talking about all the upsets that happened today. Newsflash, there were two. And we're going to go over all the upsets that can happen tomorrow. Newsflash, at the most there can be one. But let's go over that stuff real quick. In the Big Ten, we had a pretty large upset today. Now, I thought, honestly, if I was going to predict the upsets, I thought, ranking the three games that had ranked teams, I thought Iowa had the best chance of upsetting Michigan. Then Michigan State had the best chance of upsetting Ohio State. And then Nebraska over Illinois. Now I got that wrong because Michigan State actually did beat Ohio State. Illinois won. Michigan won. So, I mean, if you're Illinois, you're kind of like mad because, I mean, at the same time, you did get a little bit of wiggle room away from Ohio State. But I don't know if it's possible to catch up to Michigan at this point. I mean, obviously, if they lose like a lot of their games, but like they'd have to lose like 3, and the fact is, I don't know, you'd have to be a huge Michigan State fan, or you're a huge Indiana fan on Saturday, but I don't know if it's going to be possible for Illinois to catch up to Michigan at this point, especially since Michigan's looking like a 1 seed right now. Now, Penn State fans were helped out a little bit. They were helped out a little bit. I'm not saying a whole lot, but they were helped out a little bit with Northwestern upsetting Minnesota last night. Now, Penn State, if they win today against Purdue, they can have the same in-conference record. Now, again, they're not going to be able to pass Minnesota quite yet, but they will have the same in-conference record. And if you actually look at it, they play Minnesota their next game, I believe, after the Purdue game. And it's going to be at Penn State. So, again, Penn State plays significantly better at home. And Minnesota's known for not being able to travel on the road. Well, look at that 0-8 on the road record. Penn State also hasn't been known of traveling on the road very well, but they have at least been able to come up with 2 wins out of their 10 games. That's basically all I have to say. Michigan State was able to pass Indiana, so Indiana fans are also cursing out Buckeyes right now. Like, they are like, oh my God, you suck, Buckeyes. Really enough, I don't know if Indiana's going to make the playoffs. And if I had to rank the teams I think are going to make the playoffs, I think Michigan State gets in over Indiana and Minnesota every time. But that's basically all that happened. Now let's go to the American Conference USA game. Actually, if you watch the first half, it was a ridiculously close game. Houston, it was only a 1-point game at halftime. But then I guess Western Kentucky was just surprised they were still in it. And they just kind of gave up at halftime. I guess that's what happened because, gosh dang it, they didn't do anything after halftime. It was garbage. Hilltoppers played horrible. I still think they're the best team in the Conference USA. I mean, Houston's a tough team to beat. They're a tough nut to crack, but I don't know. I really liked what I saw at Houston today. Western Kentucky disappointed me a little bit. I expected it to be a little bit closer game. WCC. Now, honestly, this was a game at halftime. Santa Clara, I don't know if you can be disappointed in your team. The way they played against Gonzaga was one of the closer games, in my opinion. And this adds to me saying, I've been saying it for a long time, I'm worried about Gonzaga come tournament time. Because sure, they're beating teams in the WCC, but it's close at halftime. It should not be close at halftime if you look at these teams. Santa Clara, Pacific, St. Mary's, they should not be close at halftime. That should not be a possibility. That shouldn't be anything. It should not be a close basketball game at halftime, and yet, the majority of the time, it is. It's a close basketball game, and yet, it makes 0 sense. It makes no sense why it's a close basketball game, because if you look at it, Gonzaga has way more talent, it has better coaching, but it's a close basketball game, and I don't understand why, but it's going to go into the tournament, in my opinion, and they're going to face a tough team. It's a team that's not in the WCC at some point. They might lose because they can't play and make all these mistakes that they do against Santa Clara and then expect to win against a team like, I don't know, let's say a mediocre team like Oklahoma State. Like, if you play Oklahoma State and you make all those mistakes, you're not beating Oklahoma State. Like, it's not difficult to see. Pac-12, we had one of our bigger upsets. We had USC was upset by Colorado. I thought there was a chance for this one, but I decided to go a different way, and I almost got it. Went to overtime, but dang it, but I'll talk about that later on. Colorado won, but unfortunately for them, Oregon also beat Stanford, I think by like 3 points. It was a close game, too, which sucks if you're a Colorado fan, because you could have passed Oregon if Stanford was able to pull it out. Screw you, Stanford, is basically what all Colorado fans are thinking at the moment. It's just, It's poor Colorado fans. They're just so sad. They're in sadness. They're together sad. UCLA got first place, so obviously you're a Bruins fan. You're extremely excited. You don't have a lot of chance to mess up. Luckily, you were able to blow away Utah today. You still have a tough game against Colorado on Saturday, tough game against Oregon on Wednesday, and even if you do win one of those, USC still holds its fate in its hands when it plays you on Saturday. USC, now that they played the Colorado game, don't have that tough of a schedule moving forward, and actually probably get to sleepwalk through it more than UCLA does. Well, UCLA has to play, or they have to play Oregon still on their schedule. They still have to play Colorado, and we're talking about UCLA has to play 3 of the 4 toughest teams in the top, and one of those teams is UCLA. They're the best team in the Pac-12 right now. They have to play the second team in the Pac-12, the third place team in the Pac-12, and fourth place team in the Pac-12. The hardest player USC does, if you're not including the UCLA game, they could probably sleepwalk through these 2 games. Like the Utah game should not be that difficult, and same for the Stanford game. You should be able to sleepwalk to the UCLA game, and UCLA does not have that same luxury. Moving on to the Mountain West, San Diego State was able to beat Boise State last night, which sucks for me because I picked the upset, and I almost nailed it because Boise State did play well in that game. The second half was a great game by Boise State. But then they just fell apart in overtime. They didn't score, at all. What are you doing, Boise State? You're not scoring at all. Boise State still has a chance. If they win the San Diego State game, when do they play? They play on Saturday, right? If they win it on Saturday, they should be fine. They just got to beat Fresno State. The win tonight would have been nice, but, as long as you win on Saturday and then you beat Fresno State, you should be fine. You are on pace to win the conference. You got to win those 2 games, and it's okay. It's just chill. You can do it. You just have to focus, win the San Diego State game. But it really sucked because I could have got 1.5 points on that tonight because that would have been the biggest upset. Really sucks for me because if you actually look at it, it would have been a huge upset. It would have been the biggest upset of the night with San Diego State being favored by 7 points. Because the only other games that were higher than that were the Houston game, the Gonzaga game, and the Illinois game. None of those games were close. I took the one that was close, and unfortunately it kind of screwed me over. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, is there a top 25 game today? And I get to say to you, yes, there is a top 25 game today. If you did not know, it's on the CBS Sports Network, otherwise known as the Scam Sports Network. God, I hate the CBS Sports Network. 8 o'clock, we have Southern Illinois traveling to number 21, Loyola Chicago. Now, if you actually look at the Missouri Valley Conference, this actually affects a decent amount. With a win for Loyola Illinois, they get to take first place in the conference. Now, the 14-2 record, it's just because they're both at 14-2, Drake and Loyola Illinois, Loyola Chicago, depending on how you want to call it. Drake just has a better conference record, a better overall record. Plus, they split their series 1-1. So it really depends on how you want to look at this. I think Drake is a decent basketball team, but I do think Loyola Illinois is the best in the conference. Which the AP Top 25 also agrees with me. So Southern Illinois is playing them, and I'm sure you're wondering what happens to Southern Illinois if they lose. Now, again, if Loyola Illinois wins, they take first place. Lose, they stay in second. But obviously, if you're a Drake fan, you're hoping for a Loyola Illinois loss. You can keep first place in the Missouri Valley Conference. Now, if you're looking at it, Southern Illinois, if they win here, nothing really changes. Right now, they sit in 7th place in the Missouri Valley Conference behind Valparaiso. With a win, they'd have a 6-11 in conference record. Valparaiso has a 6-10 record in conference, so it wouldn't make a difference if they win. But with a loss, it is a huge deal because you go from where you're sitting in 7th place, right? You lose this game, you fall behind Bradley and UNI in Northern Illinois. So if you lose this game, you fall to 5-12. You're not in 7th place anymore. You're in 9th place. That sucks. You don't want to be in 9th place, obviously. You want to put yourself in a position where you can pass Evansville, where you can pass Valparaiso. If you actually look at it, they have a tough slate moving forward. They have to play obviously Loyola Illinois twice. And if you lose both those games, I mean, Illinois State doesn't have an extremely hard schedule moving forward. You could easily see Southern Illinois in last place. They got to win this one. It's a very important for one. So I know you're wondering, who in the world is GGB going to pick for their upset of the day? I know there's only one top 25 game, but I'm very confused. I'm obviously going to have to pick Southern Illinois to win this one. Now, I'm not 100% confident in this game. But last time I said that on Friday, Nebraska almost beat Illinois. So what the heck do I know? I think Loyola Illinois is really good. I genuinely do believe that. I do believe that they're a really good basketball team this year. I do think they have a chance. Remember a few years back, I don't want to say last year, there was no tournament. The year before that, it was Virginia winning it all. Ugh, no one liked that year except for dumb Virginia fans. What dumb Cavalier fans. But they made it to the Final Four. It's the same coaching staff. They're a very talented team. I love the Ramblers. They honestly do play very good basketball. They don't make lots of mistakes. They're a very overall great basketball team. And they're undefeated at home. And this game, unfortunately for Southern Illinois, is at Loyola Chicago. So it's just disappointing if you're a Southern Illinois fan. Luckily, you get them at home both times. Never mind, that's not a luckily. That's a bad thing. You don't want that. Why would you want to get them in the home 2 times? Place where they're undefeated. They don't lose at home. But I gotta pick Southern Illinois. So everybody, this is GGB saying adios amigos and go Salukis.